What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to Dark Souls Remastered. It has been a good 2-3 months since we last uploaded a Dark Souls video, and that's because in May, obviously, we had the Star Wars theme, and it kind of carried over into June, unfortunately, a little. And I have actually finished Dark Souls about a month and a half ago, so it has been quite a while. I have had this game done, and I have had this video being prepared. It's just I haven't got around to making it because there was other content that had to come in between that I was busy doing. Obviously, that content was all Star Wars focused. So if you haven't checked out that and you are a Star Wars fan, please go check out those videos. They are all the Star Wars games that appeared from PS1 all the way to PS5, even the two handhelds, the PSP and the PS Vita. So those are all great videos. The last one was uploaded last week. So if you are interested in that, please check that out. However, today we are here with the big one. We are here with Dark Souls Remastered and how I found it and how I eventually beat it about a month and a half ago. I decided to do every single boss, so I decided to do all the DLC bosses as well, which was a point of contention with me. I didn't know if I wanted to do them all, and then eventually I did do them all, and I'm so glad that I did because it was so worth it. So I did every single boss that Dark Souls has to offer, and I loved every second of it. So without further ado, let's hop into the bosses. Kicking off the journey to the end, we have the Sanctuary Guardian, which is the first boss within the DLC. Now, I debated for a long time whether or not I was actually going to do the DLC or not because there's no trophies related to it. But when I started playing Dark Souls and I got really into it, I think about halfway through I knew I was going to be doing the DLC. There was nothing that was going to stop me from doing the DLC. I love this game so much and I wanted to experience everything that it had to offer, everything that I could get my hands on in my own way. I didn't want to look at too many guides and stuff. I did here and there because some things are really confusing and I just didn't know what the heck to do. So I did see where to go and how to start the DLC, things like that. I mean, I would never have gotten how to start the DLC without a guide, but in terms of exploring the world, I kind of did that at my own accord for the most part. And then I had decided then that the DLC was definitely something that I wanted to do, and I'm so grateful that I did because it did offer some of the best fights within the game, if not the best fights within the game. I think that the next fight after Sanctuary Garden is probably my favorite fight in the game and my favorite boss in the game. I think he just looks so cool. But yeah, we fought with Sanctuary Guardian a couple times and we struggled quite a bit. At the beginning, its moveset was vastly different to everything else we had experienced this far. So when I eventually got to beating it, I was really happy about it. I think it was one of the most accomplished I had felt throughout the whole game. So I hope you enjoy watching this little bit of gameplay. You would have seen in the beginning or in the intro, I had died about 3 or 4 times to Sanctuary Guardian. Wasn't the hardest boss, wasn't the easiest boss. It was just a really good boss to kick off the DLC. After dying to this next boss a good few times, I decided I needed to reevaluate my strategy, and what you're seeing here is me going through all the armor and everything that I had to find something with more poise so that every time I got hit I didn't just instantly fall to the ground and get absolutely smothered. I didn't understand the stat until I moved into the DLC and it became very, very important. And as you can see, I think I'm wearing the Paladin armor here, and we are going to go fight Notorius, which is easily one of the best, if not the best boss within the entire game. I struggled with him, and yet I still found it to be one of the most well executed boss fights within the entire game, and the character design and everything surrounding him is truly, truly unique and special, and I can't believe that I was even considering not playing the DLC trophies because this one boss alone makes it so worth playing. And you'll see later on in the gameplay, I actually cosplayed as Notorius throughout the rest of the game. I don't think cosplay is the right word, but I dressed my character up as Notorius for the rest of the game, except I didn't use his sword. We went back to something a little bit more classic, and I'm hoping that it kind of just feels nostalgic for those who started the journey off with me back in March. We used a very special weapon back in March, and I figured to end the game we should probably continue with that weapon. And between the two end boss battles, I grinded for about 10 to 15 hours, maxing out certain weapons, maxing out some stats, and yeah, that helped us in the end game, but it was just to get some trophies down and done. But yeah, let's hop into the Notorius battle, and you will have seen that he's not the easiest boss battle to do. He's super fast, he's different to other bosses, and the trick to him was you actually had to attack him while he was charging up, which is something that I didn't actually consider in my previous few times trying to attack him, and by mistake discovered it while doing the previous attempt, and then yeah, I figured that's obviously the way to actually attack this boss. After Notorius, we have the big bad, the boss that is made out to be the hardest boss within the entire game, the boss that everyone struggles with, the boss that makes the DLC so grueling, and I beat him in 3 tries. After discovering that the Havel's armor is absolutely broken, I looked for something with more poise, and obviously Havel's armor is that. I had no idea what I was doing when I built this setup, and it absolutely tanked me through the boss battle with Manus, and I kind of feel like I cheesed it and I didn't experience it the same way everyone else did, but that was not my intention. I kind of just fell into this. I was just looking for something that didn't allow me to get knocked down every time he did his swooping attack that smashes you down, and as you can see, it became a very easy boss fight, which is kind of unfortunate because I kind of was really looking forward to this fight, but there is another fight that kind of makes up for this. I don't think there is another boss that has frustrated me as much as the Black Dragon Calmeet did. Now, the actual fight is easy, and you'll see here I did it quite simply, but my whole objective was to cut off this dragon's tail, and I could not get it right, to the point where after my 10th or so try, I was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. There's no trophy attached to his tail. He will keep his tail, but he will die. You'll see that I just died. And then in my very next attempt, I think I absolutely just tanked through it, just because I wasn't going for the tail. He is still a difficult boss fight if you're not going for the tail. However, if you look past the need of the tail to get a weapon, you'll have a much happier time with this boss fight. And I definitely recommend, probably on your first playthrough, if the tail thing does become a bit too challenging, just leave it. It's going to frustrate you way too much. It frustrated me way more than it should have, and I eventually just said, listen, it's not worth it. Your soul is going to leave your body, excuse the pun. This is the first boss fight that I actually genuinely felt like, oh my gosh, it is really frustrating me, and it actually had nothing to do with the difficulty of the boss fight. It had everything to do with the fact that I could just not get to his damn tail. Other than that, really good boss. I don't think he should have been the boss to end the game, or end the DLC with rather. He's good. I just felt like maybe Manus should have been the last boss, and Calmeet should have appeared before Notorius. Good boss, just not my favorite boss in the DLC. Notorius is my favorite boss in the DLC, and probably my favorite boss in the entire game. So yeah, I think I have a little bit of bias towards Notorius here. But anyways, I think it is a good enough ending to the DLC. I just think it should have been a bit altered. Other than that, meh. Can't complain too much. He didn't give me that much difficulty when I wasn't going for his tail. So if you're struggling with him, don't go for the tail. Now for this boss, I kind of knew very early on within the game that I needed to leave him till almost right at the end, so second to last, and that is Darkswindlin. And the reason you have to leave him to last is because if you do kill him early, it does lock you out of certain benefits throughout the game. I don't know what those are. I didn't dig that deeply, but I just knew I had to leave him till last, and obviously by this point I was very OP. You can see I'm already doing the Notorius cosplay, inverted commas. I don't think you can see me, obviously I'm talking to a microphone. And I brought back what is probably my favorite sword in the whole game to finish off the last few bosses with, and that is the Zweihander. Fully maxed out. I love this sword. I have so much fun with this sword. You guys know that this sword carried me through right at the beginning of the game, because you can get it literally right at the beginning of the game, and it's easily one of my favorite weapons in any video game, let alone just Dark Souls. So yeah, I decided to bring him back. and do this boss battle with him. This boss battle is a bit different. You don't have to exactly attack the boss head on and dodge and roll away from his swooping melee attacks. However, he really is annoying with his shooting projectiles that can almost get you from anywhere, so you kind of have to hide behind the pillars. It's a bit weird, but different. I think it gets credit for being different, but other than that, I think it's just a boss battle that is somewhat forgettable, besides the fact that it has a lasting effect on Anna Orlando. But yeah, this was the second to last boss that I did, and now we're going to hop right into the last boss and what should be an interesting discussion about what happened with me and the last boss. So, for all intents and purposes, Gwen, Lord of Cinder, is the last boss within the Dark Souls games, and thus it should be the hardest boss within it. I don't think I had that experience the way most people did, and I do put it down to something I did 10 to 15 hours prior to doing this final boss. As you can see here in this attempt, I didn't do as well, but the path leading up to Gwen has these black knights, and I was trying to collect as many of the black knight weapons as possible. By the end of it, I had already gotten it. Now I was grinding out these black knights, also getting souls and stuff to level up as many weapons as I can, level up myself, and it was all just myself building my character towards the next run of the game, because I knew that obviously with New Game Plus these games get harder and the bosses get even more difficult, so I wanted to be as prepared as possible. What I didn't realize is how much easier this being prepared for the next run would make Gwen as a final boss. Now, I have heard in my comments that a lot of people say that Gwen is someone that you need to be able to parry. You need to know how to do parrying in order to get through this boss really well. And I took this into account, and when I actually got into the boss battle, I realized that it didn't matter for me. Which is kind of an odd experience, because like you kind of build your you build yourself up towards needing to learn something new in order to beat this boss that is the final boss in the game. And when I got there and I didn't need to do this, I kind of felt a little bit guilty. I think guilty is the right word. Same as how I felt with Manus, when Manus didn't take me too many tries because I was using Havel's armor. Now, I didn't want to go into this last fight with Havel's armor because I felt like that would just be cheesing it again. I kind of felt a little bit dirty when I did Manus like that, so I was like, cool, we're going to do it as Notorius. I think Notorius is one of the coolest characters within the game. I want to do it with the Zweihander because that's the sword that I relate to the most within the game. I think it's the sword that I like the most in the game. So I kind of had my idea of what I wanted to do when getting into this final boss battle, and I think I executed my idea perfectly. I just think I executed it too perfectly because it really did not matter to me how I attacked the boss. All that mattered was that I Estused up whenever I could and stayed out of his way, and then when I needed to, I could do as much damage as I liked. I didn't have to parry him at all, which is great for me because obviously I'm not very good at parrying, as I've said numerous times throughout the series. But when you kind of build yourself up to doing that and you don't have to, it kind of feels a bit odd. So as much as I would like to say, oh, Dark Souls beat me, it was so hard, I really did not have that much trouble with Gwen, and that seems sort of unfortunate. But we'll see when we go into Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3, maybe Bloodborne, Elden Ring. I think Sekiro is probably going to be my biggest challenge because I mean that whole game is based off of parrying, which is going to be an absolute nightmare for me if I ever do try it. I think that those sort of games are going to be a little bit more difficult. I do not think that they're going to be as... I'm not going to say Dark Souls is easy, it definitely isn't. I think I just came into the game with the right amount of patience, which allowed me to play through the title without having that much issues. I just thoroughly loved and enjoyed my time. I am a definite Dark Souls fan now, but we'll see how that lasts after Dark Souls 2. I know everyone hates Dark Souls 2, and I'm actually considering skipping it. I'm about an hour in. I haven't done any of the boss battles yet. The game just feels different to me. So let me know if I should be skipping Dark Souls 2, if that is the recommended way to do it. Just play Dark Souls 3, maybe come back to Dark Souls 2 another time, or if I should carry on with Dark Souls 2 as it is. I can't decide for myself. I'm just going to carry on playing it for now. If everyone says that maybe it's not worth it, maybe I will give it a skip for a bit and come back to it after Dark Souls 3 or something. But let me know what you think in the comments. Anyways, let's hop into my final thoughts and close out this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. As we were talking about there when we were defeating Gwen, the Lord of Cinder, can't quite remember his name, but I think that's it. Gwen, Lord of Cinder. We did a lot. I experienced a lot of things with this game, and I think it's very important that I touch on how great Dark Souls actually is. Dark Souls and Dark Souls Remastered, as I played it on the PlayStation 5, but the PS4 copy. I actually want to try it on the PS4 just to see how that runs, but on PS5 it runs fantastically, and the actual game is spectacular. I think this is one of the best games I have ever played in my life, and I can't believe it has taken me up until 2024 to firstly experience this title. I know it's well overdue, and I am so glad that I finally did. It kind of just put me in a situation where I actually just wanted to restart it straight away. You know how the game swaps over into New Game Plus immediately after you finish beating Gwen? I kind of wanted to carry on straight away after that. However, I did start Dark Souls 2, as I mentioned, and I'm about 45 minutes in, and it just feels different. It doesn't feel as loved as Dark Souls. I might be wrong. I might be setting it short really quickly, and it might just be everyone else's comments on it influencing my opinion on it. But as I did ask, you guys should let me know if I should maybe just skip Dark Souls 2 and go to Dark Souls 3 and play Dark Souls 2 a different time. But yeah, I might just carry on grinding. I am playing other games at the moment, so it's not like it's the only game that I have to play. I still have a large amount of games that I have to play. My backlog is crazy. I think if you watched my backlog video, I'll link it up here, sometime in March or February, you'll know that I have a massive backlog and I haven't gotten anywhere near finishing it. But let's talk about Dark Souls. Dark Souls is almost a masterpiece. And I say almost because at the time of playing it, I would have given it 10 out of 10 straight away. No questions asked, because it really was that good. Now I would say more 9 out of 10, but very close to 10 out of 10. It was very close to becoming my favorite game of all time. However, I don't know, it just missed something for me. The actual gameplay within this game is second to none. It is the best gameplay that I have ever had. I think it's the best gameplay mechanics, loops, whatever you want to call it, I have ever played. I loved every second of fighting bosses, fighting the enemies. I loved every part of that. The world, the atmosphere is super, super, super special. I think it's one of the most atmospheric games that I have ever played. And then the only thing that I struggled with, and I know it's by design, so that's why it's not that big of a problem to me, is I sometimes struggle to follow the story. But obviously, that's kind of what Dark Souls is about. You're not supposed to just understand everything straight away. I mean, I know people make so many videos on YouTube explaining the lore of Dark Souls, and maybe if I watch some of those, I'll understand better. If you have any recommendations, please let me know down below. But I genuinely love this game. It is a 9 out of 10. It's very close to being a 10 out of 10. And it's probably top 5 games for me of all time. And I think that says a lot, because these games, it's very hard for people to just put new games that they haven't played before onto their top 5 list. And for me, this was very easy to put on there. So I'm so happy to say that Dark Souls is a definite must play. Even if you're worried about the Soulsborne difficulty, it's not that bad. Please don't let anyone say it is. Just go into it ready to die, basically, as they say on the back, prepare to die. And you'll be fine, because death is not the end in this game. It's a part of the progression, and learning to die and then relearning the areas is so important to the game, and that's basically what makes the gameplay loop so addictive. A very good tip that I have is, if you die 5 or 6 times and you start to feel yourself getting frustrated, just stop for a bit, do something else, wash the dishes, study for your exam that you probably should have been studying for instead of playing Dark Souls, and come back later. It'll be fine. It's not going to go away. It's really fun, and you'll find that you've had time to analyze it in your head and go back in and absolutely thrash the boss that was killing you all that time. Except maybe the Capra Demon, but we never have to speak about the Capra Demon ever again. Horrible, horrible boss. Oh, not mess. Anyways, Dark Souls is a masterpiece. I think it has to be said like that. It might not be a 10 out of 10 for me, but it still is very, very close. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have checked out all my other Dark Souls videos that I've done on the channel so far. And let me know if you want to see Dark Souls 2 videos. I'm considering doing those, or maybe Dark Souls 3, or whatever other Soulsborne games you guys highly recommend that I play soon. I know Shadow of the Erdtree is coming out in a couple days. If not, it has been released already. I can't remember what the schedule is like, but I know that is a massive draw for so many people. But I haven't played Elden Ring yet. I'll put my hands up and say I haven't played it yet, and I really do before I get all excited about something like Shadow of the Erdtree. And yeah, that's just it. So I think please like, subscribe, stay tuned for more videos. I don't know what the next video is going to be, but I hope that you will join me for it. Thank you so much. Cheers.